Hi, I'm Juan Arango from Exit Ventures. If you or your family are considering selling a family business or a portfolio company, this conversation is for you. In today's videos, our managing partner, Paul Bergen, who's led over $3 billion in strategic acquisitions, will walk you through exactly how to position your company for a successful exit to a strategic buyer. So let's go ahead and dive in.
As I talked about before, you want to build a relationship with a strategic. It's going to take years, and don't underestimate how slow strategics are. I used to used to be one. I can fully admit we move very slowly. It's like an elephant, right? Lots of resources, lots of power in the marketplace, very slow moving. Um, so if you're thinking you're either your legacy business or your portfolio company, a good time to exit would be in 2 to 3 years. That's when you should be building this relationship. In my opinion, it's 2 to 3 years before an exit because they're going to be slow. You're going to need time to figure things out. You're going to need time to see traction in the marketplace. You're going to need time to uh, for them to do due diligence and actually seriously consider an investment or an acquisition, all of which takes, each step that I just mentioned could take 6 months or 9 months or more. So, in my opinion, start at least 2, if not 3 years before an ideal time. And like I said, the object is obviously build the relationship, but also get them to rely on your technology. If your product or products become an integral part of what they're offering their customers, you're 10 or 20% of their total product portfolio, and their customers become accustomed to seeing your products, perhaps white labeled, perhaps not, as part of the offering that this strategic is offering to them in the marketplace. They're not going to want to lose that, right, in the future because their customers are starting to rely on that entire portfolio. And so the more you can get a strategic to rely on you, especially from their customer's perspective, the better off you are. Um, Anticipating the roadmap is really important because you need to have an intelligent conversation. So when you sit down with the strategics, when you start having your conversation, you need to have a thesis about how you can benefit them. Don't come to them with a white slate, say, "Hey, how can we work together?" Right? People did that to me all the time, and I'm like, "What? You're in the industry and you don't know?" So have a thesis. It may not be correct, but at least have a thesis of how they may be interested, and position yourself to talk about synergies because the corporates are always going to be looking for synergies, and 1 + 1 = 3 or 5 with you or anybody else that they are likely to deal with. They're trying to create synergies as much as possible, and that's the name of the game. So go to them and say, here's my thesis of how we would work together. Here's your roadmap. Here's mine. Here's how I think the synergies look. Here's how I think the, rough quantification based on our rough estimate of what this could look like. It could be very material, and actually lay it out. And that is, even if it's not correct, it's a great way to start a relationship and it's a great way to start a conversation. Um, some strategics will tell you in conversation under NDA, what the synergies may be. Some may be really guarded about that because they don't want to share too much. But try as you build a relationship of trust, it will likely come. And like I said, cost avoidance, great synergy, and often misunderstood. Complementary channels, complementary technology, all of that. People, if you've got great experts within a certain segment, don't underestimate the fact that they're like, hey, their team in that one segment is best in the business. That's a great synergy, right? They want the best people on their team, and you can call it a acqui-hire or whatever. But in some cases, when we would write investment memos for our board, we would say, here's the cost avoidance, or here's the synergies, cost savings, sales channels, etc. But often we would say this team is one of the best in the industry in their segment, and we want them on our team. Larry Culp, who I worked for at Danaher and who's now running GE Aerospace, one of his favorite sayings is the best team wins. And so we knew he was very interested in synergies in terms of getting the best people in the industry on our team.